standings or what players we do or don't have. I mean, the players have been pretty focused, and I've appreciated that.
Matthew Boyd is set to start for the Tigers. Projected lineup: Grossman, Candelario, Willie Castro, Miguel Cabrera, Jonathan Scope, Mazzara, Ramos, Jones, and Goodrum. Well, the Portland Trailblazers beat the Pistons 124-101. Jeremy Grant put in 30 for Detroit. They lost for the 5th time in 6 games. Mason Plumlee with 18. Detroit's other 3 starters, Sadiq Bey, Josh Jackson, and Sabin Lee, combined for 2 points on 1 of 17 shooting. Hey, keep up the losing. Trying to get in that lottery.
Surprise, surprise.
Yep. Michigan stood out in a study that seeded the men's and women's NCAA tournament fields based on academics and diversity. It was the only school to claim a #1 seed in both the men's and women's brackets, released Wednesday by the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sport at Central Florida. That's going to wrap things up for this look at our sports update. We'll do it again at 8 o'clock.
All right, thank you very much, Ian. You are inside the cave this morning with yours truly, Pat Hayes and Ian Wendt. We'd love to talk with you about sports. If you'd like to do that, just give us a call here on the studio line at 517-265-4000. You can also send us an email, sports@965thecave.com. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and we are streaming live this morning. Is that right?
Yes, we are off live on our YouTube channel. That's Lenawee Broadcasting Company on YouTube. I will share the link on Facebook and on Twitter, so you can jump on and crawl inside the cave. Get your hiking boots and your compass and all that good stuff to get inside the cave.
Don't forget that flashlight, too.
Yeah, you gotta see.
Yeah, you gotta see.
And apparently a snow shovel today.
Yeah, really. Hey, we're going to talk baseball today, and that's our primary subject. And we'll also be having John Borton from the Wolverine magazine on with us at about 8:25 this morning, a regular Thursday guest. We'll kind of wrap up Michigan's basketball season and maybe look at some of the spring sports that are going to be happening over in Ann Arbor. But as we said, it's baseball. It's opening day for the Detroit Tigers. And as Ian said, the Tigers open against the Cleveland Indians. And a team that's pretty much had Detroit's number for the last several years. But a little bit different Cleveland team this year.
Yeah, a little bit different. And, will the Tigers be any better than last year? I think that's the big question, and I know there are Tiger fans out there. We'd like to talk to you, what your thoughts are on the season, 517-265-4000. The number I heard from JR for Vegas that talks about wins, losses, 68.5 is the line there. I think most of us, if not all of us, are over that. I don't know if you put your pick in officially, Pat.
Yes, I did. And I'm trying to find it. I've got it here somewhere, but it's around. I think I put in 74.
So we all think just a little bit above what the odds makers say. What are your thoughts?
Well,
Listener, is this team still garbage?
John and I talked about this garbage team. But go ahead.
No, yeah. Do you guys think that?
Well, John is all about the numbers and averages and the BAMs and the WOBs and all that sort of thing. But he was saying that the Tigers had a winning season in the Grapefruit League. They have one victory more than losses. He said if you look at the winners of the American League and the National League top teams, most of them had 500 records when they were in spring training. So I'm not sure what that says about the Tigers, but I think he thinks that the Tigers are going to be better than most people think this year because of that. and that's strictly from his point of view.
That's an interesting number to look at.
Because, if you look at the Tigers in the past several years, spring training, when we've had spring training, they've had losing records. I mean, big time losing records. So, but the case of the matter is, some of those games were played with their B squad, and you really can't. I don't think you can really judge from that. But overall, I think they have the markings of the team that's on the move up. That's my general feeling.
Well, it's easy to say that because they were in the basement. I mean, they were sweeping the floor of the basement.
Where else can you go?
Yeah, I guess you could still be bad. I guess you could regress. But I mean, is this team 100+ loss bad? Or can they keep it under 100? That's kind of It's kind of the breaking point. We have a new manager in Hinch. We'll see if it's an upgrade over Gardenhire. That's yet to be seen. If he brought his trash cans over from Houston, I don't know, to give us an advantage. Miggy is clearly on the downward trajectory of his career.
Although I think he's a little bit renewed this year. I think maybe with the new manager, he seems to have a better attitude this year, from what I've heard from spring training.
I don't know.
He can still swing that bat.
I know he can, and he's the best hitter of the baseball that I've ever seen in my life, my 26 years of life. Miggy's the best. When we had those teams of 2013, 14.
Yeah. Well, that's when
When
we
he
had
was winning that
Verlander and
Triple
we had
Crown.
Scherzer, and we had the pitching to go along with it.
And Miggy was right in his prime.
He
I mean, he
was.
was amazing.
MVP a year or two.
Yep.
In that era.
Yep. And now we're at a point where, of course, he's going to feel good in the spring. Everyone does. Everyone's had the the winter off. Get back in the training room. You're feeling good. Your body's back to where it should be. I would hope Miggy feels good, but then he pulls a hamstring, and then he does something with his hip, or he fouls a ball off his foot, and he's out for a week or so.
No question, he's had some injury problems over the years, especially the last 3 or 4 years.
And he's playing first base.
Mm-hmm.
So putting a little more wear and tear on that body. I think he understands that he is going to retire a Tiger, and he should just have fun. I think he's at the point, we're looking at breaking records. We're looking at developing guys. He's got Torkelson down there in the minors.
Mm-hmm.
Coach him up. If he comes up, gets the call, Miggy goes to DH, put Torques at first. Just be a great teammate, which he is. I'm not saying he hasn't been that, but I think he will really embrace that role this year of be that guy. Just be that veteran leader in the dugout.
Well, I think for me, just looking at this team, versatility comes to my mind because there are a lot of players here that can play other positions, namely Nico Goodrum. I think he could play 5 different positions on the team, and I think A.J. Hinch was kind of looking at that because they did drop a couple of players off that 26-man roster, and namely Renato Nunez and Joe Jimenez was cut from the roster, so he was with them last year, I believe.
Yeah, and Goodrum, he showed flashes of being a really good player. The thing is with this team, I think, and it was the case last year, hitting. Like, produce runs. Like, on days where the pitching core would actually do their job, we'd score like a run. Or, just really struggle at the plate, and I think the talent is there for the pitching staff to be better. You know, Fulmer might be healthy. He's coming out of the bullpen. Well, what I read recently is that he's not going to be a starter. You got Skubal, you have Boyd, you got, Casey Mize, all these guys. Talent's there. Hitting's got to pick it up. It's got to be a little more than what they gave last year.
Well, your starters this year are going to be Matthew Boyd, Julio Terrarin, Trig Skubal, Jose Arena, and Casey Mize. And, it's going to be the next man up, I think, in the pitching rotation there, who is doing the job and who isn't doing the job. As you said, the relievers, Alexander, Cisnero, Buck Farmer, Michael Fulmer, Brian Garcia, Derek Holland, Daniel Norris, and Greg Soto. it's 8 relievers and 5 starting pitchers there. Is that a little bit more than normal?
5 sounds right for starters. Probably want, based on the track record, you want a lot of relievers.
Right.
if you're the Tigers, because
that's what
your starters are not going 8 innings. They're not going to pull a JV and just get to the mound in the 9th.
Well, the relievers kept the Tigers in it for half of the season last year for the first 30 games, but all of a sudden they went south, and the Tigers also went south too, and so pitching is everything. And you were talking about hitting. We've got that new. What was he? Can't remember what they called him. Something 5 player.
Oh, the Rule 5.
Rule 5 player. So he is coming in, and Akil Badu. He was very impressive in spring training. Hit some home runs, and I think he batted .325, and they couldn't just overlook him. But as I understand it, that Rule 5, he can go back to his previous team if he's recalled or something by the Minnesota Twins. Do you know anything about that?
I'm not a Rule 5 expert.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend to be one.
I think I read that somewhere that they could possibly lose him for one reason or another. We'll have to look that up and see what a Rule 5 is. Apparently he was traded with an option, something like that. So where do you think the Tigers are going to finish this year?
Prediction. I put it out there with you guys, and I would take the over on the 68.5. I think they're at least a 69 win team, but I don't think they're much better. I think they'll win 70, which would give them
last place.
Oh, well, yeah. They're battling Kansas City for last place.
Right.
Those are 2 bad teams. It is what it is. I think it's going to be tough for Miggy to stay healthy all year, for Matthew Boyd to be good all year, because you need consistent pitching, and they're still young, so you need your more veteran players to be decent. And we haven't really seen it from Matt Boyd.
No, we haven't.
He had a bad year last year. Did he even win a game? He might not have won a game.
I've got some figures, so I'll check that in a minute.
But yeah, I think there's 70-win team teetering on the edge.
Teetering on the edge.
Yeah, they're flirting with that 68.5.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about the rest of the AL Central here in just a minute, but we have to take a break. We'd love to hear from you if you have some interest and some comments and things about the Tigers. Give us a call here on the studio line. Love to talk with you. 517-265-4000. We'll be right back.
where Lenawee County tunes for sports. 90
We are back inside the cave on this Thursday morning. Yours truly, Pat Hayes, along with Ian Wendt this morning. We're talking Tiger baseball here today and focusing on opening day. Another chilly one at Comerica Park. I think 1 o'clock first pitch.
1 o'clock, 1:10.
Yeah.
Whenever Boyd feels like it.
Yeah. So we've got some interesting things we're going to be talking about, and of course, if you'd like to put your 2 cents worth in about the Tigers, give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. Send us an email, sports@965thecave.com. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
I like the way you say that. Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, so if you want to climb inside the cave, be part of the show, go to the YouTube channel. I did share the link on Facebook and Twitter, so you can find it there. Twitter, like an English bird. Yeah, it's opening day. I look like a pumpkin.
You do.
Wearing my orange polo today for the Tigers. Hope they win. Can't stand Cleveland. I mean, going back when the Tigers were good and it was the Indians right there at their heels. Those pesky Indians.
So frustrating, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then we saw the decline of the Tigers, and then it was Cleveland just trouncing us every year. But
and of course, opening day, the veterans are out there, and we're going up against the Cy Young Award winner pitching today for Cleveland, and it should be interesting. He is also picked to win the Cy Young Award this year again. And just a second here, I'm trying to get to. Go ahead. I'm stuck here.
I'll wait.
You'll wait?
Yeah, it makes for good radio.
Makes for good radio.
If we just sit here and watch you scroll.
Oh, I can't find it. Oh, there it is. There it is.
All right, we got it.
Shane Bieber. Yep, Shane Bieber going up against Matthew Boyd.
Justin's brother, Bieber.
I doubt it.
Okay.
I doubt it.
The Biebs.
His brother makes more money.
Yeah.
So this is going to be at Comerica Park, and no question about it, Shane Bieber had a heck of a year last year, and as I said, he's odds-on favorite to win the Cy Young Award again this year.
Well, it makes sense for the guy who won it last year to be the favorite, but I will say this: he got to play a lot of games against the Tigers and against the Royals. Against bad teams. Like, they didn't have to play the NL.
So you're saying
they didn't have
you're saying he's overrated?
No, I'm saying I wouldn't bet that he wins it again. Because it's a full schedule. It's a full 162 games. They're gonna go play Boston, New York, the Rays. They're gonna really expand the schedule. He's a really good pitcher, no doubt, but he beefed up some numbers against a lousy Tigers team and a lousy Royals team. It's just a fact.
Just a fact.
I wouldn't put my money that he'll win it again. He'll be in the conversation, and you should be. If you won the thing last year, you should be. And that's going to make it tough for the old Tigers to start the season going in a pitcher's ballpark in Comerica, that 420-foot center field fence. So we talked about games won this year. Over/under in Vegas is about 68.5. I said 70. You said 74. I have some other.
More optimistic than you are.
Yeah. Last year I had him to win 19 games. I think what did they get, like 24 or something like that?
Yeah, you were way off the mark.
Oh, way off. That was close. They went on a little run there, and I was really nervous, and they overtook me. I have some predictions and some firsts that we're gonna try to pick correctly on, like a prop bet situation for like the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what color Gatorade is it gonna be? What will Patrick Mahomes tie his shoes? Like those kind of things, but baseball style. So we got games 1. That's the easy one. Who is going to be the Tigers' breakout pitcher this year? They all stunk last year. No one was really good. We see back to the bullpen or into the bullpen Daniel Norris and Michael Fulmer. So I'm looking at the starters. Who's going to have a breakout year pitching?
Well, my choice is pretty simple. I think Casey Mize has gotten it together. He's had a spring training that he got some work. And as far as are you talking about number of victories or basically overall?
Yeah, I'm just talking
pitching?
Breakout.
I think Casey Mize is going to be the guy, and I'm hoping he's going to be the guy because that's what they need. That's what they drafted him for, and they're bringing him along slowly, which I totally agree with, and I think he shows us something this year.
I think he will improve. I really do. But I'm going to go with the lefty, Tarek Skubal. I think he'll have a breakout year. His expectation is not as high as Mize. Casey's like, you're going to be our
Off the
horse.
chart.
Like, you're going to be our number one. Expectation is through the roof.
Yes.
But I think Skubal's going to break through. He's had a really good spring. And the fact that you're left-handed kind of helps you in some situations. So I'll go that way. Breakout position player. This can be a combination of in the field, at the plate. So we have catcher Wilson Ramos, first base, Miguel Cabrera for now. Scope is back at second base, Candelario at third, Castro at short, Robbie Grossman in left, Jacoby Jones in center, and right field Nomar Mazara. So who will have a breakout season?
Oh boy, that's a tough one.
I'll go first. He was my guy last year, and I think he's going to keep it up and have a big breakout year. It's Candelario. Over at third base, the hot corner. He got, like a lot of these guys, kind of like thrown in. Like, we need someone to play third. Like we need someone to play left or someone to play first. And I think it's going to be Jeimer Candelario. Breakout season for the Tigers. I think other than Miggy, he'll be a guy that should get some looks at maybe an all-star. Maybe. I'm not saying he is, but I think he'll be the second best behind Miggy.
Run down those starters again.
Were they incorrect?
Well,
Wilson Ramos at catcher.
Yeah, we got him.
Miggy at first.
Mm-hmm.
Scope at second. Candelario at third.
Yep.
Castro at short. Nico Goodrum you could put in there too. Grossman in left field. Jacoby Jones in center. Nomar Mazara in right field.
Well, I'm tending to go with Willie Castro at shortstop. He had a pretty good year last year. He was kind of up and down, but for the most part, I think he had a pretty good year, and he could have a better year. And I think this might be, with 162 games, he might be the breakout player.
All right, we talked about who's going to break out as a pitcher, who's going to regress. Got to look at the good and the bad. Who's going to take a dive of the starting rotation? We have Boyd. How do you say his name?
Turan,
Skubal, Urania, and Mize. Who's going to regress?
Well,
I think I'm going to agree with you. I think I know the name you want to say.
I want to say Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he had a stretch where he was a commodity, could have traded him for something, They didn't. And yeah, he's like batting practice some days for these long ball hitters, and you'd like your most experienced guy to, to be the best, to be consistent. But yeah, I think he's going to regress.
I think all the other ones are probably on the upswing.
Yeah, which is tough to see. It's too bad, but this team was bad, and he was part of them being bad. No other way to put it. Which hitter will regress?
Ooh.
Yeah, this will be an even tougher one because a lot of the guys, just like the pitchers, we think are on the upswing. Kind of pun intended, kind of not. Now, I'm not saying big time regress. I'm saying who's, not going to be as great as they were last year.
Boy, I hate to pick Scope. I hate to pick Goodrum.
I have mine. I think it'll be Jacoby Jones. I think he's a really streaky hitter.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Is he the guy that you can count on?
We may see him going up and down between Toledo and Detroit.
Yeah. So that's my pick.
Okay, I think I would agree with you there.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a ton. It's not going to be historically bad, but I mean he was hot for a while, and then just cooled off and disappeared.
Let me ask you this: what do you think of Akil Badu, our new hitter?
I don't know anything about him.
You think he's a flash in the pan, or?
I have no opinion.
No opinion.
I haven't seen him hit one ball.
Okay.
I mean, gotta wait to see what he does in the show, as they say. If he's earned some playing time, we'll judge him accordingly. Is that the Rule 5 player?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we'll see. The jury's out on that. I have no idea. No idea.
We'll find out.
Yes, I have more questions.
Okay.
Similar to that, we can get to after the break if you want.
Okay. It's about 20 minutes before the hour, and you've got 20 minutes to get to work if you have to be there by 8 o'clock. You are inside the cave this morning. And welcome back to Inside the Cave. We're talking
Pat
baseball today.
Pulling his records out.
The old records.
That was brutal. Someone just woke up to that. Someone's like, I wonder what Pat and Ian are talking about. Hope it's not the Tigers.
Playing music on the All Sports radio station.
Go get 'em, Tigers.
All right.
That was from what, 67 or 68?
68.
Yeah, back when they were winning.
Back when they were winning, yeah. Remember the starting lineup on the 68 team?
Oh, who could forget?
You.
Me.
All right, you're back inside the cave this morning. Ian Went, yours truly, Pat Hayes with you, talking Tiger baseball. Opening day today.
Were you covering the team back in 68?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Let's see, 68. No, I was doing my military service in 68 in the jungles of Vietnam.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Wow.
So
that's going in the way back machine.
That's way back. I try to forget about that.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Let's talk baseball here, more positive subject, and the Tigers, and they're not going to be a 68 championship team this year, but we're working toward it. Hopefully, in the next 2-3 years, we'll be at least in contention.
Yes, and it's opening day, so we need to speculate everything, because that's what we do. We need to predict things, and we need to be right, because we're sports media, and that's what we do.
And we know it all.
That's right. Call us if you think we're wrong or right. 517-265-4000.
Oh, it's lighting up now.
Yeah, if you have an issue, let us know. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about breakout pitcher, position player, who's going to regress from the rotation, who's going to regress as a hitter.
One thing we haven't talked about really is our new manager, A.J. Hinch. How do you feel about him being the new Tiger manager since coming from the Houston Astros, and he was involved in the scandal over there with
Trash Can Gate.
Trash Can Gate, so we better not be banging on trash cans this year. So what do you think about that, A.J. Hinch? Has he served his time, I guess? He was out of baseball.
Apparently, according to the league, he did. Yeah. The 1-year suspension.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look to Miggy to see how A.J. Hinch is. If Miggy says things are going fine, I believe him. If he says it in the right tone, I believe him, I should say. People lie all the time, but I think if Miggy is not happy, he'll let people know.
Miggy lets his true feelings out.
Yeah. So I'm going to defer to Miggy for how the hire has been.
So how many games do we have to go in order to get a feel for how the rest of the Tigers feel about A.J. Hinch?
Is a month too long to give him?
No, I don't think. May 1st.
How he does,
Let's revisit this on May 1st.
Yeah, because this guy won in Houston.
Absolutely.
He is not going to win a lot here. Just straight up. He does not have the talent. Just doesn't have it. Can you coach him up? Yeah. Can you coach him up to compete for the division title? I don't know. It'd be a Herculean effort for Hinch to get this team to that spot.
Well, I've always thought that the best manager to coach up players was Ron Gardenhire, who they had last year, and who had to retire because of health reasons. I thought he was a heck of a coach.
Yeah, and he was the perfect guy for what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knew, and the Tigers let him know, like, look, man, you're not going to win a lot. This will hurt your career win percentage if you manage here. But we need you to get this team ready for the next step. It's kind of accelerated the process with him, unfortunately, having to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how Hinch responds to losing. Let's just face it. That's what it is. That's what he's going to have to do.
Okay.
Learn how to lose.
Yeah, learn how to lose.
So, we've been going through this list of things we think will happen first, things we think will happen most, just predictions for the year. It's fun to do. Why not? Pat, wins as a starting pitcher are hit or miss. You could pitch the best game of your life and not win.
True.
You could give up 8 runs and win. That's just the way the sport is. But who's going to get the most wins as a starting pitcher for the Tigers?
Oh boy, that's a good question.
A couple of youngsters.
Could it be a relief pitcher?
No.
No.
It's going to be starter.
I think I'm going to go with Skubal.
I think so too. He's my breakout guy from that rotation. I think he can be lethal when he wants to be.
But I think
Mize will probably be a close second.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. All right, flip the coin. Who's going to have the most losses?
Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he's regressed, and if the rotation works the way it does, he might get people's aces, when he's on the mound. So he's not going to get a ton of run support. And yeah, it's going to be a tough one for Boyd.
This could be an anomaly. He could be Cy Young award-winning capability here if he wins, 18 games.
Yeah, that would put you in the conversation.
But just to flip it around,
Did he win a game last year? Pat, did he win a single game? I don't know.
Well, they only played 60 games, so couldn't have been very many.
When are the Tigers going to get their first series win? Series win. So I'll tell you who they got.
Yeah, I know.
Cleveland for 3.
Yep.
Twins for 3. Cleveland for 3. Astros for 3. Athletics for 4. Pirates for 3. Royals for 4. And that should... we have the White Sox for 3. That gets us into May. Do you think they win a series in April? And if so, which one of those looks intriguing?
Boy, they're all tough teams except the Royals. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen against the Kansas City Royals. But they have a 4-game series starting April 23rd.
With
and
KC,
yeah.
So they'd have to win 3 of those to win that series. That's the thing about a 4 or 3.
I think
you
that's
feel comfortable?
That's their only chance. I think they're not going to beat the White Sox because the White Sox they're going to win it. They're going to win the American League Central this year. Athletics are good. Astros are always good. Indians, the Twins, they play a 3-game series. I'm going to go with Kansas City.
Okay. I'm going to go with, if I were to lock it in, they're going to win the series starting on the 20th against the Pirates. Pirates are a really bad team. We're at home. Should win 2 out of those 3. I'll give you a dark horse series win. The first games out of the division are in Houston.
Right.
Where was A.J. Hinch? Houston.
Yeah.
If you're feeling risky, that's the one. I think they could steal 2 out of 3 from Houston to win that series. But if I were betting my money, I'd say Pirates.
Now, one question about Houston, and I haven't read anything about this lately, about Justin Verlander. He did have surgery, didn't he? It's been a while since I've even thought about Justin Verlander, but I thought he...
Does it bring a tear to your eye?
Yeah, it does.
Me
He's a
too.
great pitcher, but I thought he had some issues that he had to have surgery. But as I said, it's been a long time ago since I've heard anything about him. and whether he's even going to be playing this season.
I'm not sure. He did have a surgery. I'm not sure when he's going to come back.
He may be all better by now.
He'll take his time, whatever
Yes.
it is.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our first series win. It's going to be a minute. Be patient. All right, first series loss. I think we answered that one. They will lose to the Indians.
Yes, they will
this weekend.
Yep.
The question is, will they get swept?
3-game series today, Saturday, and Sunday. Have Friday off. 1:10 p.m. starts.
First series sweep. Will the Tigers sweep a series? If so, when will that first one be? We're digging in that calendar. Again, we're looking at the Pirates late April. We're looking at the Royals late April. And then it's a bunch of good teams until you play Kansas City for 3 in the middle of May. And you get the Royals again.
I'm looking at the Mariners in June. 3-game series there.
I'm going to go with the Pirates this month.
Pirates.
I think that's when they get their first sweep of this young season.
Are the Pirates going to win a game?
Pirates
this
are
year?
bad. Real bad.
All right. Hey, that wraps up our first hour of Inside the Cave. We'll be back with hour number 2. We'll have John Borton on about 8:25 this morning talking about Michigan athletics. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You're Inside the Cave this morning with Ian Wendt, Pat Hayes.
flashlight, hiking boots, and a compass, because it's time to go inside the cave.
And welcome back to hour number 2 of Inside the Cave. Pat Hayes and Ian went with you this morning on this Thursday. Hope you're doing well out there. And just a little bit after 8 o'clock in this hour, we'll have our sports update, of course, coming up here in just a second. We'll talk with Wolverine Magazine's John Borton, get his perspective on the Michigan loss this week in NCAA basketball, and maybe talk a little bit of spring sports with him. And today we are focusing on baseball, specifically the Tiger baseball. You want to hear that theme song again, or?
Oh, the Tiger one? Yeah, let's do that instead of the update.
Well, I'll get that up here in just a minute.
No,
Hey,
play that. Come on.
well, it's gone.
Oh, it's gone. Okay. We'll get it.
We'll get it. All right, let's start things off here as we normally do.
Things that our kids really were doing well during the practice week, and just trying
I got a
to
text.
take some of that stuff.
It's
and
snowing
build
out.
it into our game plan for St. Francis, so long as it fit and it matched up. Because it's things that we felt we were doing very well. So we kind of got a little jump start on the prep for St. Francis, coming off a great week of Marion. So we're preparing like we're going to play the game. We're going to go after it that way and let the chips fall where they may.
You can hear the Saints take on St. Francis Saturday at noon. That game will be on the Cave. Do you have the music? Did you find it yet? No. All right, Tigers opening day. You gonna sing it? No. All right, hosting Cleveland.
Go Tigers!
We're all behind our baseball team. All right, they're hosting Cleveland this afternoon. The club has low expectations from national observers and analysts, but they are getting, it's all about building a winning culture and actually competing for a pennant perhaps as early as next year. Here's their GM, Alex Avila.
One of the most important things for us is to get the pitching right. So the addition of Casey Mines and Tarek Skubal on the roster is important. So what's going to be an important thing to accomplish this season is to get our young pitching established, making progress moving forward.
And here's their new manager, A.J. Hinch.
I think for us, the mindset has been very, very good in cleaning the entire spring. And that starts with an openness from the players and their commitment to taking this team to the next level, given all the newness around them and quite honestly, all the noise that's around the how many wins we should have or where we fit in the standings or what players we do or don't have. I mean, the players have been pretty focused, and I've appreciated that.
Matthew Boyd is set to
checker.
Whoops, excuse me.
That wasn't it. Matthew Boyd is set to start for Detroit. Their lineup projected as Grossman, Candelario, Castro, Cabrera, Scope, Mazzara, Ramos, Jones, and Goodrum.
Get him, Tiger. Wow.
That first part needs to be a drop, first
Yeah.
off. Today, 110 against those pesky Indians. Portland Trailblazers, they blazed past the Pistons, 124 to 101. Jeremy Grant, my God, he put up 30 points. Plumlee added 18, but guess what? Sadiq Bey, Josh Jackson, and Sabin Lee, the rest of the starters, 2 points combined.
That hurts.
1 of 17 shooting. So it's the Detroit Jeremy Grants, essentially. One more story here. Michigan stood out in a study that seeded the men's and women's NCAA tournament fields based on academics and diversity. It was the only school to claim a #1 seed in both the men's and women's brackets, released Wednesday by the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sport at Central Florida. That's it for the update. We do the sports update weekly, 7 a.m. and 8 a.m., and on the Sunday show at 11 and noon.
All right, that's our sports update here. And Ian, it is snowing outside, and it's opening day.
It's like,
And this is not an April Fool's joke either.
no. It's like baseball and apple pie. Opening day and snow in Metro Detroit.
We could open up the lines for our April Fool's jokes or something like that.
Yeah, it's something. In reading that update, kind of caught my attention you hear winning culture. They need a winning culture. How do you have a winning culture if you're not winning? How can you lose a game and have a winning culture?
Define winning culture.
Right, what is that?
Yeah, what is it? What is it?
Do you have the attitude of a winner, but you lose? That's kind of crazy, right? A little delusional to think that. We lost, but we love our culture. It's a good culture. Okay, it can be a good culture. It can be a happy culture, but not a winning one. I don't know. It just seems like a cliche people say all the time.
Is there any winning culture in Detroit and any of their sports teams?
Oh, gosh. That's a question. Man, they're all in a rebuild.
Well, you talk baseball, you talk hockey, you talk football.
I think you'd have to set up the parameter for it. Like, you'd have had to have won before. I would think to have a winning culture, like you know how to win. Like the team has done it before. So in that respect, it's probably the Red Wings. To have the culture of winning.
But they're in a rebuilding now. All of these teams have been at the bottom of the barrel.
Right. Well, the Lions are not a winning culture.
Well, we've got a new coach. We've got a new attitude now. You don't think Campbell's going to have that winning
he could.
tradition, that winning culture, as you say?
Oh, man, that's such a tough conversation. I mean, that's a philosophical conversation of, can you lose and have a winning culture? I don't know if you can. That'd be a great question for the people.
Yeah.
Do you need to win to have a winning culture?
Well, by virtue of the fact you have winning in there, it says you have to win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about W's and L's.
When it boils down to it,
yeah.
Yeah, that's all that really matters.
So what do you think is a winning culture? Give us a call here on the studio line, 517-265-4000. Send us an email, sports@965thecave.com.
Yeah, I think that's the most thought-provoking question perhaps we've ever posed it to our listeners on the show.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, all four of our professional sports teams are not any good. I guess which one has the winning culture, or what is a winning culture to you?
Well, to me, a winning culture as far as baseball is concerned is right here in our own backyard at Adrian College. How many MIAA championships have we won in a row?
I think they're going for 12.
Yeah.
I think they have 11.
Yeah. So I would consider them a winning culture.
Adrian hockey, winning culture.
Absolutely, both men and women.
Siena women's basketball,
Absolutely.
winning culture.
Yep.
Lenawee Christian basketball, winning culture.
Last 4 years.
Yeah.
Winning
Clinton
culture.
football, Clinton wrestling, Hudson wrestling. That's a culture of winning.
And I think you
can
say,
you be a losing team and have a winning culture? I don't know.
when you say wrestling, you're talking about a lot of teams in Lenawee County
Sure,
that
yeah.
have a winning culture. You
Yeah.
look at Hudson, you look at Addison, you look at Clinton, you look at who else? Dundee. That just comes off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They won their state championship the other night,
Mm-hmm.
4th straight. Do you need to? What is a winning culture? 265-4000. Talking about the Tigers trying to establish the winning culture. Can you do it without winning? I think that's the $1 million question. I want to go through a couple of these. It's opening day. Now,
And it's snowing.
yeah. I want to get to our first predictions. A day of first for the Tigers. So, we'll get to that in a second. I just want to remind people, something. I'm not trying to paint this in any sort of way, but I want us to understand something as a society where we are in the pandemic. Do you remember opening day last year? It was the Washington Nationals. I believe they were playing the Yankees in opening day. Very limited fans, if any, in Washington. Game was delayed, right? Rain delay. And a player tested positive for COVID. I think it was Soto for Washington. He tested positive that day before the game. And they played.
Really?
Tested positive that day, swirling all around the media, and they still played the game. Do with that as you will, but it comes to mind.
How far we've come.
Yeah, when you look back and you're seeing all these games canceled and postponed and moved and all these things. They played a Major League Baseball game with one of their star players having COVID for that game. Just something to remember.
Yeah.
We need to reflect on some things. So here we go. We're getting to a series of first for the Tigers. Who's going to hit the first home run for the Bengals this season? Is it a familiar?
Jamer Candelaria.
Going with my guy. Yeah. I think that's
He may even
good
hit
one.
it today.
You think?
He might.
Through the snow?
I think when the relief pitcher comes in,
Yeah. I'm going to give some
could
love.
we have a snow out?
I don't know if it's going to snow that much. I'm going to give it to Miggy. I think he's starting fresh, a spring chicken. He's going to get his numbers now. He's going to get his hits, his home runs now. So I think Miguel will hit his first homer. I'm not sure it'll be today.
I think isn't he zeroing in on a milestone? I'm not sure what.
I think it's like 500 homers and 2,000 hits.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, for Miggy. Who's going to get the first hit for the Tigers? Who's going to get the first hit
Who's leading off?
for Detroit?
Well, we don't have
We think, let me go back to the update. We have a projected lineup. It's here somewhere. Grossman, Candelario, Castro, Cabrera, Scope. Mazzara, Ramos, Jones, Goodrum.
Who's the second?
Jamer.
Jamer.
think
Jamer
it's
may
gonna
get
be
the
him?
first hit and the first home run.
Ooh, are we calling a shot, you think? Okay. No, that's a good one. I mean, he puts bat to ball
Yeah.
quite often. Oh gosh. I think it'll be in the second inning. Second batter,
Really?
Jonathan Scope.
Really?
If this is the lineup they're going to go with,
Mhm.
I think Scope will get the first hit. It'll be a single. It won't be anything spectacular, but it'll be in the second inning. Who's going to draw the first walk for Detroit?
A Miggy.
Yeah, I'll go with Miggy too. He's got the best eye of all of them.
He's got more than anybody on that team.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe bet. First strikeout. Who's going to swing and miss first?
The first batter.
Dang it, you stole mine. Yeah, it's going to be the first one. Going up against the Cy Young winner. What is the first pitch going to be? I talked about this with Chuck yesterday. He thinks it'll be a strike on the inside part of the plate. I think Boyd's going to miss outside for a ball.
I was just going to say, I'm just thinking he's going to miss a little bit outside first pitch.
Yep, I'm thinking lefty, trying to hone in. It's going to be a little off.
Mm-hmm.
First pitch is going to be a ball.
Yeah.
So
The
that's
nerves,
all I
The
have.
nerves.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
opening day jitters. And
Yeah. Even though you are a Cy Young Award winner, they still have the jitters.
Yes. Yep. So that's my list of Detroit Tigers pre-opening day extravaganza. I mean, this is it. It's go time.
It is go time, that's for sure. And the Tigers, first pitch at about 1:10.
I mean, that's this afternoon. I mean, you can be sitting at home working or in your office. I'm not condoning it, but you can have the game on your phone just on the side, just keeping up to date. And then once we hit like May or June, it's kind of entertaining to watch the Tigers' social media kind of change. You know, from optimism to, all right, we play them again tomorrow. They just don't even say the score. But, yeah, we think they'll be above what Vegas says, which is not a really good team,
Yep.
but not gutter trash.
Yep. All right, the Tigers, opening day.
Wow.
We're all behind our baseball team. Go get 'em, Tigers. World Series bound and picking up steam. Go get 'em, Tigers.
The big names, the big game.
We have John Borton from the Wolverine magazine with us to talk about Michigan athletics. And John, I guess the big story now is the Michigan basketball team bowed out of the NCAA tournament. It was a close one. They had their chances, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, a little too much Johnny Juzang and UCLA disruptive defense and a bad time to go cold. Michigan missing its last 8 shots of that game, and it's a rough way to go out for this team because you get that close. You're one shot away, one made shot from the Final Four, and you can't get one to go down. It's a very difficult pill to swallow for Juwan Howard and his team because they had such an opportunity, and yet at the same time, Pat, you look at a team that was picked to finish 6th in the Big Ten, and they win the regular season championship. They get a number 1 seed in the NCAA, and they run all the way to the Elite Eight and just to the cusp. So a great season by Michigan. Just a difficult end.
Would have been a great storyline if they would have made the Final Four, because I think they were talking about it would have been the first time that a coach took a team to the Final Four who actually played in the Final Four many years ago.
Yeah, and it's an amazing story no matter how you slice it with what Juwan Howard's done, but that would have been just one more brick in the wall, there's no doubt. Because it's crazy. My first year doing the magazine, the Wolverine, was the freshman year of the Fab Five, and I well remember going with that team every stop of the way with Juwan Howard, and Dalen Rose, and Chris Webber, and Jimmy and Ray, and the whole overwhelming excitement that came with that, and to see Juwan in this position now and doing what he has done in his first chance
Yeah.
in a NCAA tournament. He got washed away from them a year ago, and to do what he's done, but he'll have other chances. I can guarantee you that. Just the way he has put together a program and the way he's recruiting, they will definitely be back.
Well, we talk about coming back next year. Next year's team could be maybe even better than this year's team.
Well, it could be, but I think they have a high standard to meet there. There will be a lot of parts, but I don't know if they will be as old, as experienced, as put together the same way. I'm going to be interested to see how this works out. First, it's like you're recruiting your own team back.
Right.
Because all of these guys have a chance to Isaiah Livers could come back for crying out loud. He won't, but he could if he wanted to, because everybody's been given the 3 years. Most expect Franz Wagner to go. You wonder about these guards. I know that Eli Brooks at least inquired about returning. After the season ended. And so you wonder which of these guys are going to be back, and then you combine that with a recruiting class that's number 1 in the nation and has no less than 3 McDonald's All-Americans to it. And you understand that this does, though, have capability of being a great team next year.
Good morning, John. Ian here. We alluded to it. The expectation was low to start the year, but it became pretty obvious that it was going to increase throughout the year as this team kept winning. And when you isolate the game in the Elite Eight with UCLA, who were clearly not a play-in team. This was one of the best in the country in the early part of the season. They lost some pieces. But, Michigan was expected to win the game. And, just basically my takeaway and what I watched was Mike Smith kind of went away. Wagner was just off. He wasn't really good, but it was the freshman Dickinson that played really well. You watched the game. Is that an overstatement, understatement? I thought Wagner was not very good, and I didn't think Smith played that well either.
Well, I mean, if you shoot 1 for 10 and you're Franz Wagner and you're expected to be a potential NBA first-round draft pick, absolutely you didn't play up to your capabilities. And, you know, that's, I assign that partly to what UCLA was able to do defensively. I saw Franz Wagner having to rock back on a few three-point attempts and avoid that hand in his face. They were just closing out hard enough to give him problems. You know, Mike Smith has had some great games and some ones where he struggled a little bit more, and there's no question that was the case at times in this game. I think it's partly what UCLA was able to do. They were very disruptive, even with Hunter Dickinson when he got the ball inside. I mean, they were clawing at it. They were doubling him at times. They were really causing him to be out of his comfort zone in the way he attacked the basket. So, you're right. This was not an AC. This was not a play-in team in how it was playing by the time it got to Michigan. And other teams that went down along the way would certainly attempt to the same.
I'm going to go back. There were two shots in particular that you've probably had time to look at, and Wolverine fans and basketball fans will look at. I'll get to the sort of easier one first, and then the tougher one in part two. The look for the game winner for Wagner, the play was drawn up really well. They got it to him, and he was open. The only question mark would be he was shooting like 10%. You know, do you mind putting him in that spot, or would you rather it be like a Shawnee Brown who was making threes, or maybe Eli Brooks? What were your thoughts on that?
That's one of those ones where if it goes in, you're really smart because
yeah.
you're playing the law of averages and you say you do.
Mm-hmm.
If it misses, you say he wasn't making anything. Why doesn't Shawnee Brown shoot that shot? I get that line of reasoning, but the fact of the matter was, I mean, Wagner is tall enough to be relatively assured of getting one off. He is good enough to make that shot. The one thing I noticed about it, he was still, he cut so hard to get open and be there that he was still drifting a little to his left when he let that thing go. He wasn't totally on balance. But sure, I mean, if you lose and you need one shot to advance to the Final Four, those things are open to reasonable criticism. And Shawnee Brown, you know, if he's your choice to shoot that last shot, I've got no argument with that because certainly he had come up very big in recent games and would have been a very good option as well.
And part two of the question, he shot a 3. Many people thought it should have been a 2. Late in the game, I think it was 19 seconds left, and Mike Smith broke in, or it was less than that. It was about 10 seconds. He gets the ball in the backcourt, drives on the Bob Marley impersonator, Tiger Campbell, gets him going back, and then Smith pulls up for a 3 and missed it. When you saw that in real time, did you think he should have just kept going and maybe gotten contact and tried a 2? They were only down 2 at that point, or do you mind him taking that 3?
You're talking about Smith 3 attempt?
Yeah, the Smith 3, yes.
Right. I can go either way on that. Again, it's one of those things that, okay, are you going to make it or you don't make it? You're going to get second guess. Again, that shot was much closer to going down than Wagner's final shot. It just hits the back of the rim, and you know, that thing goes like Mr. Hero, Mr. in the Final Four. They drew up the perfect play because he's open. I think if he continues to the basket, he's going to have to get rid of it because he was not able to finish the way that UCLA was playing defense and the closeout ability that they had. So, I don't have a problem with that one. Mike Smith's a scorer. He's one of the better 3-point shooters. It just didn't go down.
Okay, yeah, I've heard a lot on the other side. Actually, like, you got him backpedaling, just keep driving. So it's, like you said, it could go either way. I'm not all negative today. I have a positive. Well, you lose, right? You lose and you look at the negatives. You win, you look at the positive.
If it goes down, it's all the difference in the world.
Right. I thought Hunter Dickinson, look, he's a freshman, and he was your leading scorer, gave you 11 points. Him, and I don't want to be biased here, but Austin Davis came in, and it wasn't against UCLA starters, but I thought he played really well too. I thought the two big guys really kept Michigan in the game.
Oh, Austin Davis had an excellent game. He was more than just someone buying time, certainly for Hunter Dickinson. He was very effective. He was a stronger finisher around the basket in that particular game than was Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson was getting pushed off his mark, having to shoot from a little farther out. He got it going a little bit in the second half, but I thought Austin Davis gave Michigan terrific minutes in that one. And so there's no question he like the rest of them will think about the what ifs and if onlys and all that sort of thing as a team guy, but he's got nothing to hang his head over the way he performed down the stretch.
I mean, he gave him like 7 points in 9 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was extremely solid, and I know that all of Onstead and all of Lenawee County was on their feet during that stretch because he was tearing it up.
Yeah, absolutely. John, I got a question here about, you talked about some players getting an extra year of eligibility. Let's talk about the coaching staff. Do we have the full complement of coaches coming back this next year?
That's a great question, Pat. And when you are in a situation where you have had that much success, people are looking hard at what you do. And I think it's reasonable to assume that some of these guys are going to have opportunities to go elsewhere. I've already heard of Howard Isley having a chance of being considered for one job that was mentioned, and I think that's not going to be the end of it because, like I said, these guys are no names. Bobby Washington was given great credit for helping this transition with Juwan Howard to Michigan. He knew these players, and he was just he's been a terrific compliment to everything that Juwan Howard has wanted to do. He's going to be a head coach at some point. I don't expect Phil Martelli to, he's well into his career. There's no question about that. But he came here to help Juwan Howard win a national championship, and they were well on their way this year, and they've got a lot of talent coming in. So I would expect him to be in place next year, but it's tough to say. I mean, it all comes down to what opportunities become available and how ready these guys are to say, okay, it's my turn.
One final question here, John. Spring game for football has that been set, and are they going to be playing it?
Spring game, as we have known it, is not going to happen. It's one of those deals where in the COVID era, they're not going to take any chances with fans coming to gather at Michigan Stadium in that sort of a setting. They will probably have some sort of a final scrimmage, but it's not going to involve fans. It's not going to involve the typical spring game atmosphere.
All right, the Wolverine magazine. It's a great thing to read. I read mine every month from cover to cover. How can folks get involved with the Wolverine magazine?
Well, you can get the magazine, and you'll want to get the next one because there'll be some new special stuff about the NCAA tournament, feature I'm working on about Juwan Howard, etc. By calling 800-421-7751, they'll get you all hooked up. And, you know, that the big football preview, all color, 200 some pages of football preview will be coming here in a couple months. And then you can join us every single day on thewolverine.com. Use the code BLUE60 and you can get your first 60 days to the website absolutely free.
All right, the Wolverine magazine. John Borton, thank you very much for being with us today. And we're not going to be having you on every Thursday now until maybe we get back to the football season. We'll certainly have you on if we have some breaking news as far as Michigan is concerned, and we certainly appreciate you being on with us.
I've enjoyed it, and I look forward to the next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
John
John.
from the Wolverine magazine. We have to take a break. You're inside the cave. Ian Went, Pat Hayes.
Let's talk sports. 96.5, The Cave.
Insurance. Who needs it? We all do.
right, opening day in Detroit today as the Detroit Tigers take on their nemesis, the Cleveland Indians. And first pitch at about 1:10. Hopefully it won't be snowing at that time.
Yeah. Had a little bit of snow this morning.
Yes. Ooh.
At least here in Adrian. I don't know about Detroit, what they're going to get.
Well, they usually get it after we get it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Anyway,
Maybe it'll help the Tigers.
Yeah, we're talking about the Tigers today, but first, before we get back into the Tigers, we have a broadcast game tonight.
We do. It's a regional championship for boys high school basketball. Who saw this coming? The Madison Trojans get to the regional final. They will play Ypsilanti Arbor Prep. That game will be around 7 o'clock tonight. John Kane will be in Erie Mason for that game. So you don't have to drive out there. You can listen to the Trojans play Arbor Prep at 7 on the Cave. John Kane making the drive out to Erie Mason.
And good luck to the Madison Trojans, our last team in the Michigan High School Athletic Association basketball playoffs. And we had a pretty good year this year.
My gosh, a great run. And like I said, who would have picked them
Yeah.
of all the teams to get that far? Obviously they would have, and their fans, but
hey,
man.
Maybe they have the winning culture.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. The
Certainly
Madison
setting
Trojans.
that foundation.
Yep. There you go.
Great stuff.
Great
You're
stuff.
playing with house money. Arbor Prep's a really good team. You know, you're happy to be in the regional. I mean, they've played some close, tough games, and they've won. Got that winning culture. So, again, game will be around 7 on the Cave. John Kane on the call. So, maybe we'll get the Trojans moving on.
There we go. Love to get somebody into the quarters.
Yeah. And some boys basketball. Want to do some betting, some odds, some favorites, some dogs?
Yeah,
Maybe make someone some money.
I'm a real fish.
Yeah. Yeah. We will get to the Detroit teams in a moment, but the big ones are the Final Four. There are 3 basketball games left in the 2020-21 season. Who thought we'd get to this point? Some people did not. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it was a year of upsets.
Yes, especially in the tourney. So there's 2 1 seeds, a 2 and an 11, a play-in team. We'll start with Baylor and Houston, the All-Texas Final Four game. I'm seeing Baylor -5. How does that look against Houston?
I don't know an awful lot about Houston, although I did see him play here the other night. But, Baylor, I think I've said over the year that I really didn't think they played anybody. And same thing with Gonzaga. But I'm a believer now. I have crossed the line, and I think Baylor is a real deal, as is Gonzaga.
So you think they cover that 5?
I think they cover the 5 with ease.
Houston had to come back against Rutgers to get to this point, to get to the Sweet 16, and they've looked pretty solid, but Baylor has been the team. They're a 1 seed for a reason. That's a good number. I mean, Vegas does a good job at putting you in a spot where it can go either way. Would I be shocked if Houston covers? No. Do I think Baylor will? Yeah.
What's the over/under?
Yeah, it's 5. Oh,
The total score.
Oh, total score. Just give me a second. 5 points for Baylor. Over/under 134.5.
That's
what I'm seeing.
that's not scoring an awful lot, but they probably average 70-some points a game. But hey,
I think. I mean, it's going to be a good game. I do. I think Houston has some talent to match up, but I think Baylor will get the job done. It'll come down to free throws late. If they don't make their free throws, it'll be within the 5. If they do, it'll be above 5. I think they will make them and cover that 5. Gonzaga, they are 14-point favorite over UCLA. They are beating the snot out of everyone they play, beating them by like 20 points a game. Can UCLA pull this off again, keep it close, maybe win?
14 points is an awful lot, and you know, UCLA really disrupted the Michigan offense, and I'm not sure whether they can do it against UCLA, but I'm not sure that game is a 14-point spread. The over-under is 145.5. Gonzaga is going to win, but it's not going to be by 14.
I think the opposite. I think Gonzaga is they're another animal.
They are.
I mean, they made USC look like children in that Elite Eight game.
Pretty silly.
And I think they'll do the same. I think they're sick of hearing that, well, they're undefeated, but they're going to struggle. They're not struggling. I'm actually pretty comfortable with the 14 more than I am with the 5 for Baylor. So I think the Zags roll into the final game.
All right. We're going to do that for a pop?
I don't drink pop. I'll do it for something else.
Well, a glass of water then.
I'll buy we'll buy expensive water. How about that? Like a $2 water.
Some bubbly water.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on the line. It's on the record. I'll make a note.
All right. We got any more bets?
Pat, buying Ian water after that. Okay. Yeah, I'll get to the Detroit teams.
Okay.
We'll finish with the Tigers. Don't worry. We have the Detroit Pistons against the Washington basketball team. Just kidding. They're the Wizards. Pistons are a 2.5-point dog in this one.
Yeah, they're a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loss.
Correct. I think Washington has no trouble covering that one. In the NHL, we're going to go over under total goals, Red Wings and Panthers.
Ooh.
Team they've beaten before. Red Wings have found some offense as of late. 5.5 goals.
5.5 goals?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say yes. They will be over 5 goals.
Oh, okay. 5.5. I don't think you can get 5.5. Oh, I'll go opposite. I'll go under, just for fun.
Just for fun.
Baseball, it's back, baby. Tigers and Indians. Cleveland favored by 1.5. Over under 7.5. So we'll go with the over under 7.5.
7.5. Yeah, they're going to score. It's going to be a 7-2 ball game.
I don't think you're far off. I think.
Yeah, they're going to be. I think the Indians are going to score some runs, and the Tigers might be able to score some if they get the relief pitcher in there, maybe in the 6th inning. But you're going up against the Cy Young Award-winning pitcher, and he's out there to prove something himself again this year. And the Tigers are the beneficiary of a loss.
Yeah, I like that over 7.5. I don't know if they give up 7 runs. I could see a 6-2 game, maybe a 6-3. Yeah, I echo a lot of your points. First pitch at 1:10
Today.
for the Tigers. Baseball,
if
baby.
it's not snowing or whatever. I don't know if it's still snowing out there or not. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for us. Great show today, Ian. Thank you very much for being in here.
Right back at you, Pat. Always fun.
And we'll be back next Thursday, same time, same station. You'll be back again when?
Sunday. We'll be on Sunday.
That's right. We'll be here on Sunday, Easter Sunday, for a Sunday edition of Inside the Cave. Don't miss that one. It's going to be a great one. Got some great things lined up, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We'll see you then. You're Inside the Cave, Ian and Pat.